We're just about set to hear the Hibbing High School band play the Hibbing High School fight song. And here it is. Danny Bakatu and your coach, Terry Cullen, you've just watched 15 minutes of hockey played mostly in your team's end. What do you tell your kids to turn it around in period number 2?
Well, Ole, I'll tell you what. Virginia did stand around a lot. I'm sure Coach Cullen told them that. He's going to tell them you're going to have to move the puck. So you have to start playing aggressive. They played laid-back hockey in the first period. In fact, to tell you the truth, they were out there public skating is all they were doing. And I'm sure Coach Cullen had some words for them. We're going to have to see how it comes out in the second period. But let's not take away anything of what Hibbing did in that first period. Hibbing played very, very well. It was only a great goaltending by Paul Mackey that's kept it 2-0.
Was it 3 for a quarter in the first period in the Hibbing end?
I was just going to say the same thing. Every time they got down there, it was 3 shots for a quarter, and I'll tell you what, Mackey made a couple of great saves. Hibbing was able to get on the scoreboard twice with John Rue. Hibbing's playing very well. Virginia's just standing around. And the best part about it is they were standing around and they're still in the hockey game. They're going to have to start playing some hockey. They're going to have to start moving that puck around, do what they do in practice. There was a lot of standing around that first period, and anytime you do that, anybody's going to beat you, especially a quality team like Hibbing. Virginia's going to be on a power play for 48 seconds as Paul Girardi is going to sit out the remainder of his holding penalty. A good opportunity for Virginia to crack one early. Monticelli virtually untested in the first 15 minutes.
We're back to live action, folks. This is in the Hibbing end. Blue Jackets, Gosted shoots it out off the sideboard and into the Virginia end. Chasing there for the Blue Devils is 17, but Maralt gets there first for the Blue Jackets. Maralt sends it. Terrell has to go under his stick. Here along the near board, Terrell takes the check, and he's knocked down. Callister behind his own net for the Blue Devils. Callister has a clear seam, and he carries out. Callister up over the red line, up over the blue, and then he's ridden off the play nicely by Huseman. Into the corner, there's the Blue Jackets, Gosted. Gosted has the puck kicked off his stick, but Terrell controls for Hibbing and flips out to neutralize. Here's Virginia's Metza. Metza tries to go cross ice. Terrell picks it off. Terrell cutting across the zone. Drops for Maralt. Back to Terrell. He backhands. He doesn't get much on it. No, Maralt's going to get himself 2 minutes for pushing the goal. Or Wohlers, excuse me. I'm still confused with a year ago, but that's Pete Wohlers who's been creating those problems in the Virginia end, and he's going to get 2 minutes for some type of interference, I believe, with goalie Paul Mackey. So Virginia will go right back on the power play, Denny. And my apologies to the Wohlers family.
I hope they come after you, Ole. It's about time somebody did. But I'll tell you what, even when they're shorthanded, this Hibbing team is they're deadly. They ran a little give and go there where Terrell dropped it back to Wohlers. Wohlers looked like he was going to shoot, and he was giving it back to Terrell. And they almost got one. They're a dangerous outfit. Wohlers is going to be in a penalty box for 2 minutes for interference.
Face-off right below us here. It's controlled by the Blue Devils. That's number 10 backhanding it. Babaracki up along the boards, and it's loose again below us. Finally, O'Donnell carries into the Hibbing end. He avoids the check and forces it down into the corner. O'Donnell going to go cross ice on the other point, and it gets by number 10 over there. Babaracki out to neutralize. Here comes Schwartz. Schwartz in the race for the puck. Schwartz gets there. What action! Schwartz keeps his balance, centers the shot. Great save by Mackey. He got the glove on Doug Terrell's blast from the slot. Hibbing, even though a man short, is putting on all the pressure. Babaracki bothered by Doug Terrell. Babaracki wheels and stops in his own end. He gives it up along the boards, and Virginia centers it, but not out. Doug Terrell keeps it in along the blue line. Terrell dumps it into the corner where Schwartz retrieves for Hibbing. Schwartz back to the point here for 15. That's Pazuzzi dumping it back to the corner. Babaraki's looking for a face-off. Hibbing will be happy to accommodate him with the Blue Jackets a man short. O'Donnell gets control, looks cross ice. He has it poked off his stick. Good effort there by Girardi. Girardi ridden off the puck by O'Donnell, but Girardi chased it behind the Virginia end. Batted up along the near boards here for O'Donnell. He bats it off the boards to Paletti, and it's loose to neutral ice. Hibbing controls. That's Mike Hardy. Cross ice to Gosted. Gosted flips out, and it's just over the stick of Rue, and that will be icing. 12:40. No, there's a penalty coming. Excuse me. Now they wave it off. We'll have to straighten this out, folks. I saw the official with his hand up for the longest period of time. And now they're debating what they're going to exactly do. Denny, I saw that official with his hand up. I don't really know what to call it.
I don't either. I think what happened, Ole, was I think the referees lost sight of the fact that Hibbing was shorthanded. They did try to ice the puck, obviously, which they could do being shorthanded. I don't believe the ref realized it at that point when he raised his hand to make the icing call, and then he realized he made a mistake and was going to set it off at neutral ice.
Here's Girardi knocked off of the puck along the far boards. Girardi gets it back, and Callister kicks it into the Hibbing end, but not for long. Hardy comes back. Mike Hardy over the red line, takes a shot at the blue. It's wide, and Girardi chased it down in the Virginia corner. Girardi with a nice quick move. He dumps it into the slot. It's picked off by Metza, who forces it up along the boards, but Hibbing keeps it in. Girardi from the top of the circle takes a shot. Mackey holds on and covers up. 12:10 to go. Period number 2. It's 2-0 Hibbing.
Ole, there's 2 seconds left on the Whalers interference penalty, and Virginia did absolutely nothing on a power play. Hibbing had better scoring opportunities than Virginia did shorthanded in a shorthanded situation. Girardi, very nice hockey player out there, hustling on the shorthanded situation. Pulled the trigger a couple times. Mackey come up with a save. Virginia had, I believe it was 48 seconds to start the period on the penalty to Girardi, and they came back. They had a penalty to Whalers. They couldn't do anything. Hibbing is simply all over them.
Hibbing storming the Virginia end, and now the Blue Jackets are at full strength. There's Waller centering to Terrell. He has to go off his stick, but it's loose to Pazuzzi. Pazuzzi takes a shot. It's knocked down by the Blue Devils. There's number 4 ridden off the puck. That was Paul Paletti. Hibbing kicks it out. Virginia kicks it out to neutral ice, where Hughesman dumps in for Hibbing. Around behind the Blue Devil net. That's 17, Brian Mackey. Mackey flips it along the boards. It's kept in there. Drive taken by Hughesman. Tipped over the top of the net. It's into the far corner. It's lodged into that far corner, and we'll have a whistle stopping play. 11:36 to go. Period number 2, Denny, and it's still 2-0. The Blue Jackets over the Blue Devils.
Only in the first 3.5 minutes of this second period, the only thing that Virginia has done right was purely accidental, because it came from the referee. The puck was in the Virginia zone, and the referee's mistake brought it out to neutral ice. That's the only way it got out there, because Virginia certainly hasn't been able to do anything, and it looks reminiscent of the first period. It doesn't look good for the Blue Devil fans, but on the other hand, for our good friends in Hibbing territory, you got a tremendous hockey team.
Hughesman takes a shot from a poor angle. It's kicked wide, but the Blue Jackets are trying to get control. Virginia comes up with it temporarily. Darren Cobb. He's ridden off the puck by Whalers. Whalers centering pass is tipped into the corner. There's Steve Terrell. Terrell dips it along the boards here for Whalers. Whalers playing a little game with Terrell, circling and passing back and forth. Terrell bumps the Blue Devil off the puck, and Whalers cuts across the zone and loses the puck to Gerlach. It's now loose and dumped back into the Virginia end. There's number 10, Babaraki. Babaraki takes a hit from Whalers, loses the puck, but O'Donnell's there to cover up. O'Donnell bangs it up along the left board for Cobb. Cobb is knocked down by Terrell. Terrell back to the point. Here's a drive through a screen. It's loose, and it's picked off by the Blue Devils. That's Babaraki. He just flips it the length of the ice. We'll get a whistle. It'll stop play. 10:43 to go. Second period. It's still 2-0. Still Hibbing.
Only when you said it's still 2-0, I guess that's the biggest mystery of the evening. Why is it only 2-0? Virginia has absolutely done nothing in the first 15 minutes. They've almost 5 minutes now in the second period. They haven't done much. Hibbing is just all over them. Virginia, I feel right now it's just a matter of what the final score is going to be. But they're going to have to do something. If they're going to continue to stand around like this, Mackey will be the busiest guy in town.
Doug Terrell on the draw with Mike Callister of Virginia. Callister does get control and kicks it behind his own net there to 17, Brian Mackey. Mackey finds the seam, centers it a little too long for Callister, and Hibbing controls. And neutralized. Callister flips it into the Hibbing end, chasing down there for the Blue Jackets. That's Mike Hardy. Hardy flips it along the left board, kept it at the point. Shot taken. The Blue Devils putting on their first pressure of any kind in the second period. Brian Corpy has it ridden off his stick, and it's shot out to neutral ice. Looking for some room is Brian Mackey. He shoots back into the Hibbing end. There's Hardy for the Blue Jackets, cutting up a seam and flipping along the right boards. Hibbing gets it out. Schwartz forces the puck into the Virginia end. Here's 17, Doug Terrell, but we've got a whistle, and we're going to have a penalty on Mr. John Schwartz of Hibbing. Interference, 2 minutes, Denny. So with 10:03 to go in the second period, Virginia once again has a chance. Virginia has not had a penalty yet tonight, Denny.
No, I'll tell you what, it's going to be really fun if it happens, but sometime during the course of the season, obviously we'll see the Blue Jackets on a power play. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what they can do and how they set it up. Their dynamite outfit, I'm sure their power play is really exciting to watch. Virginia, again, now they're on the power play. They've got to get something going here. They've had too many chances where they've been the man advantage, and they've really done nothing. They seem to be playing real tentative, and if you can't get up to play Hibbing, you can't get up to play anybody.
It's deflected into the Hibbing zone. Getting there first for the Blue Jackets is Joe Gostin. He takes a bump from number 11, Stanaway. Puck is still loose. It's picked up finally by the Blue Jackets and dumped the length of the ice. That was Cal Huseman, who's done a real good job here tonight on defense for the Blue Jackets. Virginia in their own end. The Blue Devils trying to set up. Babaraki cuts across his own zone. Sophomore Randy Babaraki up along the sophomore Scott Stanaway. There's Willie Speltz. Speltz gets by. He's around Huseby. He shoots a hole in the backhand over the top of the net. Back to the point now. Girardi runs it down and gets it out to Virginia's line. Here's Girardi around and in. He gets help now from Rue. Rue with a good move to avoid a check. The Blue Devils work it out. Nice move by Paul Paletti. Paletti coming in 3-on-1. The Blue Devils. Paletti holds it. His shot is knocked down by Gosted. Here's Gosted picking a hole and driving it the length of the ice. Paul Mackey tees it up for his defenseman. Coming around, that's Brian Mackey. 44 seconds to go on the man advantage for Virginia, which trails 2-0. Forcing his way into the zone is Cobb. Cobb ridden off of the puck by Terrell. Terrell dumps behind for Gosted. Gosted back over to Terrell. That's Steve. Steve Terrell up along the far boards, bangs it off those boards and into the Virginia end. There's Mr. Wohlers dueling with Metza. Metza wins this one, but Wohlers won't give up. He's relentless on this forechecking effort. Wohlers looking to set it up now. Pete Wohlers has a man cross point. He goes to the top of the circle now, shoots from the slot. It's knocked down by Mackey. There's Wohlers once again behind the Blue Devil net, being bounded by Callister. Callister knocks the stick out of the hands of Wohlers, and finally Virginia gets control. Wohlers chased him down from behind, knocked down the Blue Devils, and it's loose in neutral ice. Now Hibbing's going to start back into the Virginia end. That's John Schwartz out of the penalty box. Schwartz comes in, takes a shot, he scores! Schwartz beats Mackey low to the glove side, and it's 3-0 Blue Jackets midway through the second period.
Well, Ole, it was John Schwartz doing it again. Coming down, took a quick wrist shot, just beat Paul Mackey at a low left-hand side. Mackey might have been a little fooled on that one. It didn't look like like Schwartz got all of it, and I think Mackey got a little bit fooled, and he shook his head afterwards. He felt that maybe he should have had it. Nonetheless, Hibbing with another goal, are up 3-0.
So the Blue Jackets' relentlessness finally pays off with a marker here in the second period. 3-0 Hibbing. Doug Terrell centers this loose in the slot. The Blue Jackets fight for control. It's back to the point. There's a drive. That's knocked down by interference. Schwartz gets a backhand down, and Mackey had to be quick to make that stop. There's Kasner, back to the point. Here's a drive taken by Hardy. That's knocked down, and Virginia comes out. On the right wing, there's number 11, Scott Stanaway. He centers it in the slot. It's picked off by Hibbing. Kasner flips out to neutral ice. The Blue Devils teed up. Babaraki drives it behind the net into the near corner. Controlled there by Hibbing. Here come the Blue Jackets right back out. Doug Terrell flips it off the boards ahead for number 9, Troy Dilla, but it was offside. 7 minutes exactly left second period. It's 3-0. Hibbing.
Only the official scoring was number 3, winger senior John Schwartz, assisted by number 10, Mike Hardy, junior defenseman. Hardy just gave Schwartz the puck. Schwartz came in on Mackey's right side, let go with a wrist shot and beat him to his glove side. Low. 3-0 Hibbing.
The Blue Jackets driving into the Blue Devil end where the play has been most of the evening, folks. Here's Virginia's Brian Mackey flipping along to Billy Sheehy on the left wing. Sheehy gets out over the line with a good head of steam. Oh, good check thrown into him there by Mr. Pete Wallers, and Hibbing has control behind its own net. That's Scott Sundvall. He's ridden off the puck. Callister trying to get some operating room, but he's knocked off the puck, and here comes Terrell for Hibbing. 2-on-2. Terrell working a game here with Sundvall. Terrell keeps it. He moves in. He goes behind the net now on his backhand. There's a drive taken. Wallers, and Mackey never saw it, but it did deflect off him into the corner. Metza ties it up for a face-off, and we have one with 6:15 to go in the second period.
Ole, we played almost 9 minutes of the second period, and depending upon how the official scoring looked at when young Speltz went down on goaltender Monticelli's right-hand side, and he let go about the backhand, or whether it indeed went all the way over him, it looked to me like Monticelli might have got a little bit of it with his shoulder, would be the only save he'd have in this period. You're not going to win a hockey game unless you pump some rubber.
We talked to Terry Collin prior to this hockey game tonight, and the Virginia coach did say that his team has not had a good chance to work on its offense, and that's apparent.
And so far, truer words have never been spoken, because they haven't done anything here yet this evening. And again, I'll have to repeat, it's not all their fault, because Hibbing is by far the superior hockey team tonight, and they've been all over them. When they're shorthanded, they're dangerous. When they're equal strength, they're dangerous. And I just hope Virginia doesn't get in a penalty box, because I'm afraid what'll happen if they go on a power play.
There's Girardi dishing it back to the point. Hibbing keeping the pressure on. Girardi in the corner. Back to this near point. Stavnes, he tees it up. It goes over the top of the net. Keeping it in is Gosted to Girardi. Girardi has to go off his stick, but it's right back on the stick of Girardi. He tries to center rule. It's loose. You see the scramble. Finally, Hibbing comes loose. Girardi takes a shot from a bad angle. Gosted tees it up and drives it. It's deflected. Mackey holds on, and that is still loose. And in the far corner, Hibbing keeping the pressure on. O'Brien flips it back to the point. He gets a stick on it again, but it was a back and forth offside, and 5:19 remains in a 3-0 second period.
Ole, these are goaltender nightmares when you're in a situation like this. Monticelli down on one end, he needs no dose. Brian Mackey's down on the other end. He's the busiest guy around. He should sue the rest of the team for lack of support, because they haven't given him any tonight, and he's down there, and it's you said it earlier, it's 3 for a quarter. I don't believe there's a guy on the Hibbing team, including the coach, that hasn't taken a shot at him yet.
Here we go. Hibbing back into the Virginia, and Doug Terrell centers. It goes off a couple of bodies. It's loose. Backhand by Schwartz. Quick save by Mackey into the corner. Now it's back over to the near corner. That's big 17 for Hibbing. Doug Terrell. Doug is only a sophomore. Centering, bang, bang, and oh, it goes off the pipe. What a break for the Blue Devils. That was Terrell's shot off the feed from Schwartz. Bang, bang play, and Hibbing comes away dry. Flipped out to neutral ice. Blue Devils trying desperately to get something going. Hibbing will not allow it. Ridden off the puck with Brian Mackey. Hibbing's Doug Terrell centers it. There it is. Oh, and another flip is just wide. Schwartz from Terrell. Cross ice to Gosted. No, that's not Gosted. That's Houston. Houston takes another whack at it. It's loose. It's in. Number 16. Tom Sullivan will get credit for that goal. I do believe either Sullivan or Doug Terrell. I'm not quite sure. But it's 4-0 Hibbing, 4:25 to go in the period.
Well, they will wait for the official scoring, but goaltender Paul Mackey was arguing with the referee. I think he felt that he was down, and one of the Hibbing players wasn't allowing him to get up in time. He might have a valid point to a certain degree on that one. Nonetheless, Hibbing is just storming the gates.
We'll get that official scoring, and it was Sullivan. And Denny will recap the assist in just a moment. 4-0 Blue Jackets. Into the corner for Hibbing. That's Stavnes. He whips it around the left side, and Hibbing comes right out of its own end. Terrell. Steve Terrell is in. He can backhand it. He does, and he's wide. Stavnes keeps it in. There's a shot on goal. Mackey has to steer it wide. Virginia really looks like it's a little bit intimidated at this stage of the hockey game, with good reason. Hibbing has been an awesome team tonight, and there's not much more that can be said. Here's Callister in neutral ice for Virginia. He tees it up and drives one that's wide. Kept in there at the point by the Blue Devils, but not for long. Hibbing skates it out. This is number 10, Mike Hardy. Hardy drops it for Wohlers. Wohlers moves around the face-off circle. Wohlers cuts into the center. He backhands and it's stopped by Mackey. There's another tee out by Hardy. It's loose. And 15 saved a goal there for the Blue Devils. Neil O'Donnell as it was creeping across the goal mouth. Behind the net, the Blue Devils teeing it up and driving it is O'Donnell, but not out. Wohlers keeps it in. Virginia trying to come out of its own end with Darren Cobb. Cobb in neutralized. He backhands it into the Hibbing end.
Only when Neil O'Donnell came through the crease and saved that potential goal, I'm going to give him a save, and that makes him and Monticelli even. Each got one.
Virginia gets a shot off, and it's caught in the uniform of Steve Terrell with 2:57 to go in the second period of a 4-0 hockey game. The Blue Jackets.
Holy, Paul Mackey's played very well tonight, and the one thing he's going to have to do after this game is get a new goalie stick, because I'm sure this one will be wore out after this affair. Virginia has absolutely no offense. And let's call it like we see it. They've been standing around a lot.
Metza trying to keep it in along the blue line. He does. He takes a bump there, and O'Brien goes down. He gets a little worse for that collision. O'Brien gets the puck back on his stick and centers it neatly, and out comes Rue. Rue over on the left side for Girardi. Girardi trying to get around. Girardi does. He centers it. Here's a chance, and it's loose. Kicked loose by the Blue Devils. Edstrom. Ahead to Gerlach. He's knocked off the puck, and Girardi comes back for Hibbing. Girardi avoids the check, but the puck is loose. Metza flips it out to neutralize and out of harm's way temporarily. Flipped back in by the Blue Jackets, Rue. Rue stretches but can't get control. Girardi does and bats it behind the Virginia net. Ooh, a dangerous little move, but a nice one nonetheless to get Cobb free in the left wing. Cobb shoots into the Hibbing end. Blue Devils changing on the fly as Joey Gosted shags her down for the Blue Jackets. Gosted along left wing, flipped up to Rue, and Rue is out to the red line, and now he crosses the Blue Devil blue. Rue on his backhand, wheels, turns, centers, off the stick here of Houston. He backhands, there's a save, and it's loose, and Hibbing chems away dry. Right back to Houston, he shakes another forehand drive. There's a shot from the slot. The Blue Devils clear it into the corner. Mackey has made 2 or 3 saves in the last 15 seconds. Looking for a whistle there is the Blue Devils, Paul Paletti. He does not get one, and Hibbing keeps the pressure right back on. Into the corner looking for breathing room is Brian Mackey. He flips it right up into the air, and Hibbing ties it up. No whistle yet as the Blue Jackets are not ready for a face-off. Hibbing centers it back to the blue line, and it gets by Pete Wohlers into Hibbing's own end. The Blue Jackets regroup and start again. There's Rue. It goes off his stick, and Virginia has it. O'Donnell, he flips out to neutral ice. Delayed offside here on Hibbing as O'Donnell sets up in his own end. O'Donnell avoids the hit and gets it ahead, and there goes Paul Paletti. Paletti tees it up. His drive is deflected up over the top and out of play with 59 seconds to go in the period of a 4-0 hockey game. Hibbing on top.
A virtual blowout, Ole. There's nothing else you can call this, and I'm not trying to be a comedian here and badmouth these Virginia at all, but they haven't done a darn thing out here tonight, and Hibbing's all over them, and it's the only surprise here this evening right now is the score. It's only 4-0 because Hibbing has totally out-dominated them. And I mean, a total domination of this game. I believe Monticelli's only got 1 save, if indeed he does. And in 14 minutes and 10 seconds, that's not very good hockey.
Well, we knew this was going to be a big rebuilding year for Terry Cullen and the boys, and it's going to be, although Hibbing is a pretty tough stick to measure yourself against this early in the season.
There's no doubt, Ole. Hibbing has one of the finest youth programs around. They're a machine over here. They just keep grinding them out. Virginia, we all knew they were going to have a down year, so things like that happen. But at the same time, they're not even trying. Is what I'm trying to say. They're tentative. You got to go out there and you got to fight. Not all of them, of course. There's a couple of players that are giving it their all, but a lot of them are standing around. A real lot of them are standing around.
Here comes Terrell back for the Blue Jackets. That's Doug Terrell. Nice move, crossed over on his backhand, flips it over the top of the net. Off the deflection. Terrell and Sheehy battle, but it's back to the point. Still loose. Finally, Schwartz has it. He centers it on the way to Pazuzzi. Pazuzzi gets it into the corner for Schwartz. Schwartz wheels, and he shags or gets rid of that Blue Devil quickly. Terrell centering pass is knocked back into the corner, and Virginia's having loads of trouble. Brian Corpy can't get it out. It's along the boards. Finally kicked out to neutralize. The lead offside here on Hibbing, but it won't matter because the second period is all over. And Hibbing has doubled its 2-0 lead and now leads by a score of 4-0 after 30 minutes of hockey. We'll get the official saves and the scoring in that period. there was some scoring. Hibbing, of course, with both of them. Denny, quickly, the saves in the second period.
Well, Ole, my prediction was right on the, they gave Monticelli no saves. I thought he might have got a piece of the Spelt's backhander, but apparently he didn't. We'll have to look at it again. But incredible when you can play 15 minutes of IRC or any hockey, and he had 0 saves. On the other hand, Paul Mackey had 12. So at this point, Mackey's got 24 saves, Monticelli with 5. I'll run down quickly what happened in the second period. We started out, Virginia was on a power play for 48 seconds, got nothing going. As soon as the teams went equal strength, Hibbing went in the penalty box. Pete Wohlers for interference. Virginia, nothing on a power play. The 10:03 mark, penalty to John Schwartz. Interference, again, nothing. 2 penalty, 48 seconds plus the 2-minute penalties. That's almost 5 minutes that they were on a power play and never got a shot on goal. At the 7:49 mark, Hibbing scored. It was John Schwartz with the goal, assisted by number 10, Mike Hardy. And at the 4:25 mark of the second period, number 16, Tom Sullivan scored to put the Hibbing Blue Jackets up 4-0. I'm going to call it 4 minutes and 48 seconds. And Virginia was on a power play during the second period. Ole never got a shot on goal. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And a credit to Hibbing. They were all over them. Great, a short-handed situation they played.